I think the arts education kind of spoiled me or kind of influenced me to believe that you are supposed to live a life with passion, you're supposed to live a life with meaning. I feel like some people could look at that and think it's idealistic, but I kind of like that that's how I think about life. Hi, my name is Shirin. I studied theatre and film in SOTA, and now I'm a chief of staff at a sustainability company. Is that okay? Okay. As far as I can remember, I always wanted to be an actress when I was younger. Constantly, wanting to be on stage, wanting attention, a sense of curiosity. My parents tell me the story about how in kindergarten they were asking for an MC for like some ceremony, and I was the only one who raised up my hand. I just remember really enjoying putting myself in the shoes of a character that was very different from my everyday life. I think that was the first thing that kind of got me hooked. But as a kid in Singapore, you kind of know that it's not one of your typical jobs or like pathways, right? So I had that kind of practicality already instilled in me. But whether it was, being in drama club in school or entering SOTA, which is a school that's sort of dedicated to your craft and kind of building that alongside, studying, at no point did that make me question the path that I was on. I still found myself very drawn to it. So studying theatre in SOTA was a very interesting, eye-opening experience. There was definitely a desire to choose and to be free and experiment. Like I came from the type of place where I was the only theatre kid and it was easy for me to stand out. But being in SOTA, you're surrounded by like brilliant minds. How are you gonna stand out? Like, the first theatre script that I wrote and I put out there paled in comparison to my peers. While it was a little disheartening at first, it exposed me to parts of theatre that I was better at and parts of theatre that I wasn't as good at. But I think it gave me a better understanding that I'm more of a performer. I'm the type of person that will take the words that you write and try to make it come to life. It kind of guided me a bit more precisely in terms of my relationship with theatre, my relationship with the craft. I just want to connect with it, I want to cry, I want to laugh, and I feel like maybe that's me as a person too. Yeah. Things like understanding someone else's perspective. I think as an actress and as a theatre maker, you have to understand, you're not acting in silo. You know that you have an effect. There's a relationship there. You have to understand each other on an emotional level. You have to understand why the stories we write come from certain places and how we can bring that together, find common theme, and how it could be used as a way to process something that, happened in your real life that you didn't have an opportunity to process. And with that comes empathy. Yeah, I find myself still using that perspective and that lens. And I think that translates into, how I approach life. When I graduated and I went into the working world, the artistic version of myself kind of had to take a backseat. I did HR for a bit, and one part that I realized was that I really want to be speaking to people. So then I made the kind of extreme switch to sales, and I kind of had a bit of a crisis, a bit of a confidence crisis, because you're also pegged to certain metrics, and I didn't fare so well with that sort of system. I think there is a lot of vulnerability in admitting that you're not good at something. So then just recently, I switched into sustainability. I'm still curious about things that I have, no business being curious about. Like I have no background in, and I'm still compelled in trying new things, not really kind of locking myself into any particular industry. If I'm going to be living more authentically, I might as well try to find other ways to engage with the arts. So now I'm going to be teaching improv. The journey to fulfillment is a lot more deliberate and intentional. I feel like I've been working to get it less from professional achievements, if that makes sense, and getting it from relationships, getting it from my hobbies. And that's kind of why I started improv. That was when I managed to take that artistic self, back out of its box or whatever. And I think that really helped me find a different way to define myself, breaking my identity up in not just the Shirin that works, but also the Shirin that does improv, the Shirin that's a friend, the Shirin that's a daughter, the Shirin that's a sister. I think that helps me disperse the idea of fulfillment and get it in smaller doses rather than one big thing. Even in SOTA, I felt like my sense of fulfillment didn't solely come from one place. It usually boils down to, am I being my authentic self here? Am I engaged meaningfully with what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis here? It's a type of way of living that I kind of developed through being in art school that I still carry with me. And I don't think I'm myself unless I'm engaged with the arts, whether I'm watching it, appreciating it, or full-fledged being part of a production. And I feel like that's why I'm excited for this chapter of my life, where I get to engage with the arts on a more regular basis through teaching it, sharing it, and enriching other people's lives with it.